Hello. One of the biggest challenges that you face is often the cost of living and how much you can earn that through part-time work. These are important questions that you ponder over again and again when you plan your study abroad program. Let me take you through a very practical approach of tackling this problem. You are listening to Dr. Amir Pichan from CareerUp Global. Welcome to another tutorial video where we explore global educational opportunities, challenges, and way forward. The biggest point of concern is that whether you would get a part-time job. Part-time jobs are very important not only to fund your studies, but it also gives an immense experience, an opportunity to understand and work in a totally different culture and environment that you are not used to. More importantly, working while studying also increases your self-esteem. It makes you feel proud. It also gives you essential skills such as working under pressure and time management, where you have to juggle between your study, work, and personal life. You can also showcase this experience in your CV for future jobs. So consider working part-time when you study. But the biggest question again remains whether you would get a job, and if so, how much you can earn. To begin with, I have chosen few countries, few English-speaking countries and few Western Europe non-English-speaking countries. Let us do a practical analysis about the income that you can earn through part-time work and the cost of living in those countries. So the countries chosen are Australia, United States and Canada, England and Ireland. So these are the English-speaking countries that I have chosen. And in addition to, also I have chosen few Western European non-English-speaking countries like Germany, Netherlands, France, Switzerland, Austria, and Italy. It is worth mentioning that all of these countries have started offering more English language programs to attract best talented and smart students. More English language programs are being offered at master's level than at graduate level. So that is an attraction. And also, comparatively, the fees in these Western European countries are much lower than English-speaking countries as an international student. So is it not something that you can consider to study in a good university at much lower fees? So consider that. Most European universities also allow you to do the doctoral program in English or in the host country language. So if you are heading to those countries for doing a doctoral program, then the language is not an issue at all. But now there is a biggest problem over here, working in a country with no local language experience. In general, getting a part-time job in a non-English speaking countries are far more difficult than in English speaking countries, provided that you don't know the local language. Here we are assuming that here you are heading off to Germany without knowing German, or you are going to France without knowing French. Local employees want to employ people who can communicate in the respective language. This is something that you should always keep in mind. I have seen such a trend by employers from my own experience of living and working in Central Europe for many years. Employability is another factor. Employability depends upon many other factors too, like your educational qualification, skills and expertise. That is a personal thing. But in addition, it also depends upon a lot of environmental factors that is beyond your control. Let us have a look at the environmental factors. The environmental factors that I have chosen here are, the first one is the unemployment rate in the host country. The unemployment rate is a good factor that tells you the percentage of job-seeking population that are out there hunting for jobs. The lower the unemployment rate, the higher the opportunities for you to find a job. A lower unemployment rate is also a measure of the strength of the economy, how good the economy is doing. The lower the unemployment rate also can push the wages up. So that gives you a much more bargaining power. So preferably, you should choose a country with a lower unemployment rate so that you are in a comfort zone, and that is a much better opportunity for you to find a job, easier to find a job at a higher rate. The second important element that I have to consider over here is the hourly rate. As an international student, how much you can earn through part-time work. Students in general are allowed to work 20 hours maximum during semester running time. During holiday breaks and summer breaks, you can work up to 40 hours or full time. This is a general rule applied in most countries. There could be some exceptions that we can deal with that one on a case-by-case basis. Certain countries, like for example like Australia or like France, government has mandated certain minimum hourly rate. So at least you can expect that one. Having a minimum wage stipulated by the government has got many advantages, such as at least you can expect a minimum wage that gives you a minimum financial stability, and also it avoids the exploitation of the employees by the employer by paying them less. The third biggest pound that I'm going to consider here is the cost of living in the host country. And cost of living here means only for the living cost, which includes your transportation, housing, accommodation, food, etc., not the fees. Fees are not at all considered here. So the cost of living, again, the host countries have stipulated that the students have to show certain amount of money per year to be eligible for a student visa. So wherever the government has stipulated that one, I have used that figure into account. So given these scenarios where we use the unemployment rate in a host country, the hourly rate that is being offered over there, which you can expect, and the cost of living, I have done a thorough analysis of the countries that I have chosen, and I have presented that over here in a graph that you can see. And we will go through this country by country. Here, I have to say that while doing this comparison, I have assumed two things. One, you are going into the host country as a single person and you want to support yourselves. So you can work part-time. If you are going with your partner or husband and wife, then the situation could be different. You cannot stay in a shared accommodation or in a student accommodation. You may have to find your own independent accommodation. So the cost can be double, but at the same time, there is also another benefit. For example, in some countries like Australia, allow the partner work full-time while the other family member is enrolled as a student. For example, if the wife is going as a student, wife can work only say 20 hours per week, while the husband following her on a dependent student visa can work full-time up to 40 hours. So there is an additional income that it can come through as well. So this is not a generic rule, this is country specific. So again, these parameters have to be considered on a case-by-case basis. But I have assumed that you are going over there as a single person supporting yourself while studying. And to bring everything into a common scale, what I have done is that the cost of living and the income that you can earn, I have converted that into US dollars so that we can compare that easily. Using the current exchange rate that is now, when I'm making this video, that is in April 2023. Exchange rate can vary. It can vary on a daily basis. So keep that in mind. The unemployment rate varies, but the government provides the statistics usually once in every 3 months. The minimum wage usually doesn't vary that often. It varies only very rarely. So all these parameters keep in mind when you understand the living cost and the expenses that you have to spend and the income that you can earn. Now, coming to the first country in Australia, as you can see here in this graph over here, the minimum wage the Australian government has stipulated is $21.38. Unemployment rate is very low, it is only 3.5%. So in that case, you can easily find out a job. A lot of the economy, a lot of the working sectors is still depending upon the student workforce, so that is a good sign. Government of Australia has stipulated that the student have to show at least $21,041 per year to live. So given that scenario, when I do the calculations, it comes about say 1,120 US dollars for you to live in a month, and again you have to spend about 1,170 US dollars to live in the country. So this is the average living cost and expenses and the income that you can expect to earn during this period. So however, as you can see, the cost of living and the expenses more or less balances out. Now moving to Canada. In Canada, there is no set minimum wage. The minimum wage is decided by the province. I have chosen the rates in the provinces like Ontario, British Columbia, Alberta, and averaged it out. These are the provinces that most of the students goes to. And on average, you can expect to earn about Canadian dollars 14 per hour. Unemployment rate is still very low. And given this scenario, and doing the same kind of calculations and assuming that you work about 20 hours per week, you can earn about 830 US dollars per month, and you need to spend about 739 US dollars per month. So you can earn more than what you spent. Now moving to UK, as you can see here, the situation is again a little bit different. The hourly rate stipulated by the UK government is 10.42 pounds if you are aged 23 and above. If your age is below 23, then it is about 10.18 pounds, slightly less. The unemployment rate is still low, but the UK government has stipulated that if you are living in London, you have to show up to 1,265 pounds in a month towards the living cost. If you are living outside London, you have to show 1,015 pounds per month towards your living cost. So the living cost in London is very expensive because of the accommodation is a premium. But most of the good universities and colleges are still located in London. So given that scenario, and doing the same calculations, as you can see from the graph, you have to budget more to live there than what you can earn if you are aiming to London as a place of your study. Now moving to US, it is again a different scenario. US, the hourly rates are much lower. It is only 7.25 US dollars per hour. It is set by the federal authorities, but the state has got different rates. For example, if you are going to New York, or if you are in Boston, in Massachusetts, or in California, different states has different hourly rate that can be higher than 7.25, but I have used the federal rate to do the calculations, given the fact that there are also some states which offer sometimes even less than what the federal rate is. Unemployment rate is still low, only about 3.6. So given these scenarios, you have to budget to live more than what you can earn. Your expected monthly income is about 580 US dollars, and expected monthly expenses is about 1,250. US government says that for you to live over there, you have to budget between 10,000 to 18,000 US dollars per year to live as an international student. So that averages about, say, 1,250 US dollars per month. Now moving to Ireland, it is there is no set minimum wage, but still average students can earn about 11.30 euros per hour. Unemployment rate is still low, but the cost of living in cities like Dublin is high. Housing is a premium. Therefore, still you have to budget more to live there than what you can earn. And there is a disparity between the two. Expected income is 960, while expected monthly expenses is 1187. Now moving to European Union countries, first we take Germany. In Germany, of course, you can expect to earn about 12 euros per hour. our unemployment rate is still low, and Germany is one of the strongest economies in Europe. So keep that in mind, and the cost of living is very, very reasonable. Given that scenario, it almost balances out between your expected income and living cost of living. Moving to France. France, the government has said that the minimum wage that people should be paid is 11.27 euros per hour. Unemployment rate is rather on the higher side, it's about 7.3 when I'm making this video. And cost of living in cities like Paris can be very high, especially accommodation. As a result, you have to budget to spend more than what you can earn. Expected income is 960, while monthly expected outcome expenses is 1,304 US dollars. But one point here to note is that French government provides rental subsidy or rental support irrespective of the nationality of the student. If you are paying more than a certain amount, the rental subsidy can be up to 200 or so euros per month. Now, moving to Italy, the hourly rate in Italy is rather low. It is only about 7 euros. Unemployment rate is on higher side, 7.92. Therefore, in Italy, again, you have to budget more to live than what you can earn, mainly because the hourly rate is reasonably low. In Netherlands, there is no set hourly rate. It is decided by the market, but as a student, it averages about 10 euros per hour. It can vary anywhere from 8 to 12 euros. Cost of living in Netherlands is again expensive because of the housing and accommodations. So again, you have to plan to have additional funds to live there than what you can earn. Whatever the expected income is 872, but expenses is about 1,087. Moving to Switzerland, Switzerland offers one of the highest hourly rate for students. That is Swiss franc 23 euros per hour. Unemployment rate is very low, it is only 2.1%. But in Switzerland, there is a catch. What is a catch? In Switzerland, as a student, you can work only 15 hours per week, not 20 hours during semester running time. But of course, during semester break times, you can work full time. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. There is also another point. In Switzerland, the first 6 months when you arrive on a student visa, you cannot work. So for the first 6 months, you have to budget yourselves and you have to live at your own expenses. You can start looking and be employed only after the first 6 months are over. So these are the two important points that you have to you have to consider when you plan to study in Switzerland. In Austria, there is no set hourly rate, but hourly rate is decided by the market. But it is also negotiated between various trade organizations and government. So it is basically an industry-based kind of a thing. But at the same time, you can expect to earn about 10 euros per hour. Unemployment rate was high, but now it has come down to about 6.2% when I'm making this video. And as a result, the cost of living and income that you can earn almost balances out. Austria, especially the city like Vienna, offers very good quality of life, very cheap transportations. The public transport system is very, very efficient and very cheap. So you can live without a car. And at the same time, Austria, as well as in Germany, they offer some subsidized student housing is available. So this is a plus point that you have to consider. So totally looking at the global picture, you can see that in countries like Australia, in Canada, in Germany, and in Austria, more or less you can balance with your income that you can earn through part-time work. Whereas if you are heading to London or to major cities in US, or in the countries like say Netherlands or in France, especially in Paris, you have to budget for more money that you can earn to live over there. So keep these things in mind when you plan for your studies overseas. Now, I'm going to talk about international student fees. International student fees in English-speaking countries are very generally high, rather very high. It is impossible to compare there is no commonality. Fees is decided by the universities. Fees can vary between the universities in a country itself or within a university for different courses too. What I am going to present here is a range, rather a big range, which you should expect. And what is being presented here is also the average fees that you have to pay per year that is annual fees in a good university, in a reasonably good ranked university. Colleges, other institution fees could be lower. So in Australia, anywhere you have to expect between 22,000 to 50,000 Australian dollars for masters and 20,000 to 45,000 Australian dollars per year for graduate program. In Canada, the same figure is between 36 to 45 for masters and between 20 to 40,000 for graduate programs in a year. On average, you have to budget about 36 to 38,000 Canadian dollars per year. UK, again, the figure is about between 12 to 25,000 UK pounds and for master's program and between 10 to 20 for graduate programs. USA, the fees are very high. It is between 25 to 55,000 US dollars for masters and it can be anywhere between 10 to 30 or 35,000 for graduate programs. US university fees are rather very high. It is not only high for internationals, but it is also high for nationals too. But still, in US universities are the prime locations or the preferred place for international students. That is mainly for 2 or 3 reasons. The reason number one is that university education or universities are consistently ranked very high in US. University education and the quality of education is also on the top rate. The chances of getting employed after a university degree is very high from US. The payback that you can expect as a remunerations after completing the studies is also attractive. So given all these factors, US universities are still the preferred location for many of the students to go to, even though the fee is high. Again, there is another point to note here. Even if you are going over to US without having any kind of a financial support or assistance to begin with, once you are inside the US system, you are open to very many opportunities to apply for scholarship or assistantship. So once you are inside the systems, you will be opened up to various opportunities where you can apply, and based on the competitiveness and your capabilities, you may be eligible to get some assistantship that can be used to fund your studies partially. So this is something that you have to keep it in mind, that is something that is available in US, which you may not often see in other countries. Now, in Ireland, the fee can be between 10 to 40K for masters and between 10 to 55K for graduate programs. Now moving to European universities. First, let us take Germany. Germany, in general, the public universities, I repeat here, the public universities, there are no fees. But having said that one, I have seen a trend where some public universities also started charging nominal fees. But in general, you can say that the public universities are free for any students, irrespective of their nationalities. However, the university charges between 300 to 500 euros per semester, that is between 600 to 1,000 euros per year towards the admin fees. In general, the tuition fees are nil. You have to budget between 300 to 500 euros per semester towards admin cost. In France, you have to expect between 3K to 3,770 for masters and about 2.2 to 3K for graduate programs. Italy, the same thing, you have to plan between 500 to 4K or on the average 3K per year for masters and between 5 to 4K for graduate programs. Netherlands, reasonably the fees are high, but it's still lower than the English speaking countries. You have to budget for between 6,000 to 20,000 euros for masters and between 6 to 15,000 euros for graduate programs. In Austria, the scenario is quite different. In Austria, the international student fees are fixed by the government. That means as international students, you are allowed to, or they can charge you only 726.70 euros per semester when I am making this video. And that has been staying that for a long time. So we hope that will be the same for at least for the near future too. So on average, the fees is 730 euros per semester, or approximately 1460 euros per year. That is irrespective of the university that you go to, irrespective of the courses that you do, whether it is engineering or social science, and irrespective of the level that you are doing. That means whether you are doing the graduate program or whether you are doing the master's program, you pay the same fees wherever you go to. So this is something good, so that you are fully aware of how much you need to spend as a fees, 730 euros per semester wherever you go to. So in Austria, that is an attractive point. So keep that in mind. In Switzerland, the fees are lower. It is only between 300 to say 4K for masters and 400 to 3,700 for graduate program. It averages about 2,000 Swiss franc per year. But at the same time, in Switzerland, it is hard to find out an English offered program too. So we will come to that later. Now, stay back period. Stay back period is the period that you are allowed to stay in a country after successful completion of the course. Stay back periods are very important because it gives you a breathing time or a space. So whereby you can stay there after completing the program and apply for job, find out a suitable job, and creates a pathway for future permanent residency in that country. The longer the stay back period, the better for you. The shorter the stay back period, the faster you may have to exit the country. So choose a country which provides you a longer stay back period, so that gives you, or that puts you in a comfort zone. So in Australia, the stay back period is 2 years, and it can be up to 3 years, depending upon the courses you do, or say for example if you do a PhD program. The same thing applies to Canada. It is between 2 years to 3 years. In UK, the same thing, it is between 2 to 3 years. USA, instead of it is only 1 year to 2 years. In Ireland, it is 2 years. In Germany, it is 1.5 years or 18 months. In France, there is a catch. In France, if you want to stay after your studies, you have to be offered a job with 1.5 times the salary of the same type of job in the market. So then only you can get a visa to stay in the country. If you have not offered, or if you don't have the job offer, then you have to apply for a stay back visa or a resident visa, which they call an APS visa, which they will give you maximum of non-extendable period of 12 months. So keep that in mind. Italy, the stay back period is again 1 year, Austria 1 year, and Switzerland, it is only 6 months. So these are the stay back period. Again, as I mentioned earlier, stay back period is a big point that you have to consider when you plan your studies. And finally, I hope that the information that is given to you is valuable, and which you can take a really informative decision based on these facts that I have presented to you. Often when you need such information, you go to education consultancy services or agencies, and they may tell you things that is of their best interest, not your best interest. So hopefully this information is a valuable point to you. Looking forward to see you again in the next set of videos, where I focus on country and subjects as well as various scholarship opportunities. So stay tuned, connect and subscribe. See you soon, and thank you very much.